family's everything. But my kids, to my children, I'm nobody. But that night they're going to find out their father's very special.
Mike Tyson has finally broken his silence about his boxing future, and it's nothing short of surprising. After his last fight, Tyson seemed ready to hang up his gloves for good, openly admitting he felt done and couldn't keep up with the younger generation. Fast forward to today, and the narrative has shifted.
Now, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, he wants to see the rematch between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, and he's now offering Mike Tyson $700 million.
Rumors of a $700 million payday for a rematch might have something to do with it. If the price is right, why not step back into the ring, especially if there's talk of facing someone like Jake Paul, a fight that could add a hefty bonus to Tyson's bank account. However, Tyson's recent return to the spotlight hasn't been without criticism, many citing his past exhibition match against Jake Paul as a letdown. What should have been a spectacle of a boxing legend facing a YouTube star ended up feeling more like a clumsy cash grab. From the opening bell, fans were left disappointed, questioning what they were witnessing. Tyson, a man once feared for his ferocious knockouts, appeared sluggish and uninterested. Speculation ran rampant. Was Tyson holding back? Or did he simply not care? The exhibition format provided the perfect cover for what many felt was a half-hearted performance. Fans couldn't...
Funny because, you know what's so shitty is like, we've been doing...
Mike.
My mic?
Is shitty.
Yeah.
Oh, no, keep going.
Help but imagine a different outcome had Tyson channeled even a fraction of his prime energy. In his heyday, Tyson's power and precision could have ended the match in a single round. Instead, viewers were left wondering if the fight's drawn-out pace was by design, a paycheck more than a passion. Whether Tyson's latest plans involve...
Those fights, I'm not going to mention no promote. There was fights I had with an opponent that knows would fight me and the referee. It was fights like that. That's just how it went. People are bent, odds. They got a hold of the referee. They fighting me and the referee. I don't know. The guy don't even know. Did I find out later what's going on?
Redemption or just another payday remains to be seen, but the boxing world is watching, even if skeptically. The fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul felt more like a sparring session than a real bout. Instead of proving he still had what it takes, Tyson turned the ring into a snooze fest. It became clear that the event was more about cashing in than showcasing the sport. Unsurprisingly, Tyson's reputation took a hit, leaving fans wondering if this was the same fighter who once struck fear into opponents, or just another washed-up legend banking on nostalgia. Then there's Jake Paul, the self-made king of drama, whose career thrives on spectacle more than actual boxing skill. Watching him square off with Tyson...
Obviously, the first two fights that I saw were great, and then the Mike Tyson would happen, and I was hoping that he would, punch him once and then knock that stupid idiot Paul brother out. And now I'm watching all these videos, and his speech that he gave at the end, where he's like, I knew I didn't have the guts, I knew I couldn't do it, but I'm just doing this to pay my bills for my family.
Felt more like a circus act than a legitimate fight. Jake isn't in it for the love of boxing. He's out to stack followers, rake in views, and stay relevant. Tyson, on the other hand, came off as a mere pawn in Jake's strategy to dominate headlines. In the end, the entire affair felt like an elaborate stunt to keep both their names buzzing in the media. Fans were quick to label the Tyson-Paul bout a sideshow, not a legitimate fight. Tyson, once the most feared name in boxing, played right along, helping Jake Paul maintain the illusion of being a legitimate fighter. Instead of delivering the knockout power he was known for, Tyson seemed more invested in the paycheck than the legacy that made him a legend. Looking back, Tyson's official boxing career didn't end with his exhibition against Jake Paul. In truth, it ended long before that. For years, Tyson had been open about his waning
Tyson biting his glove. The reason he was doing this was to remind himself not to throw punches and let Jake control the
passion for the sport and his thoughts on retirement. The Jake Paul fight wasn't about proving anything or rekindling his love for boxing. It was about cashing in on nostalgia. By the time he stepped into the ring, Tyson had already transitioned from a boxing powerhouse to a brand willing to monetize his past glory. The fight wasn't for the sport, the fans, or the legacy. It was for the paycheck, plain and simple. Tyson's retirement speech? Let's be honest, it was dripping with irony. He framed the end of his career as this noble historic moment. But here he is, back in the ring for another comeback to fight Jake Paul. Nobody asked for this fight, yet here we are. That whole final fight narrative, just a clever marketing ploy to squeeze out one last wave of hype and cash.
Landing some big shots and knocking Jake around the ring. But that changed when Paul clenched with Tyson. It's alleged he whispered into Tyson's ear to cool it, and the message was confirmed received by Tyson with the affirming tap on the back. After that moment, Tyson became a stick in the mud.
Tyson claimed it was the end, but we all knew better. It was another payday, wrapped up in sentimental fluff. Here's the thing. Tyson's career didn't end with Jake Paul. It had been over for years. The Paul fight wasn't some grand finale. It was a sideshow. The hype, just a setup for a bigger payday. Tyson's legacy, once untouchable, was already fading. Instead of preserving what he stood for, he's been making decisions that leave fans
clear that this fight was rigged. I could be wrong. I can't even say that because in my gut, I don't feel like I am.
Now, His Excellency Turkey al-Sheikh, he wants to see the rematch between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, and he's now offering Mike Tyson $700 million.
Questioning if he even remembers why he became a legend in the first place. The truth is, Tyson didn't close out his career in that fight. That chapter ended long before. Now it's about clinging to what's left of his legacy while cashing in wherever possible. Turning down a $700 million rematch with Jake Paul, yes, you heard that right, a man who once made opponents tremble by simply stepping into the ring now claims he's expired and doesn't need a payday that could pay off entire countries' debts. Let's break this down because, honestly, how does that make sense? Mike Tyson, still in far better shape than most people half his age, passed up a windfall that could buy him a yacht, a private island, and a...
At any point, did you start to take your foot off the gas just a little bit because you noticed he was tiring out?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a bit. You know, I wanted to give the fans a show.
A lifetime supply of whatever exotic pets he's into these days. We're talking $700 million, a number so ridiculous it sounds fake. Instead of stepping into the ring, collecting the check, and riding off into the sunset, Mike Tyson shrugged it off and said, "Nah, I'm good." His reasoning? He claims his boxing career is over. But let's be real, that's not the full story. If Tyson were truly expired, he wouldn't still be in the gym, training like he's gearing up for another brawl. He wouldn't be maintaining the physique of someone ready to throw down. Tyson didn't refuse because he's past his prime. There's more to this than meets the eye. Mike Tyson refused the $700 million rematch with Jake Paul, not because he's done with boxing, but because he didn't want to risk losing to a guy best known for wearing a headset, making "I'm the best boxer on the planet" memes, and running a YouTube channel.
When he was the champ, it was like, people don't understand what a champ he was. Like, he wasn't just the heavyweight champ of the world, he was an executioner.
Tyson may claim he's stepping away from the sport, but let's not pretend this is some noble, philosophical decision about leaving behind earthly possessions. This isn't about preserving his health or prioritizing family either. Let's be real. If family was his main concern, he wouldn't have laced up his gloves for that unwhelming exhibition against Roy Jones Jr. in the first place. Tyson is refusing this rematch because he knows the stakes. Losing to Jake Paul wouldn't just be a minor hiccup. It would be catastrophic for his legacy. He'd go from being the baddest man on the planet to the guy who lost to a...
Wasn't the Tyson-Jake fight, wasn't that amazing?
Yeah. It's amazing they got paid so much money for that.
25 million and 40 million?
YouTuber. For someone who spent decades building an untouchable image, that's a risk he can't afford to take. And let's talk about the money. Tyson would have earned more in one fight than most people will see in a lifetime. Yet, he walked away from what could have been the biggest payday in boxing history. Why? Because for Tyson, it's about more than money. It's about preserving the legend, the aura of the man who once terrified opponents just by entering the ring. Losing to Jake Paul.
A lot of things about this.
You're just a big fight fan.
Yeah.
You love boxing.
Yeah.
Yes. Why? Where did that come from?
From the youngest generation.
Paul would turn that legacy into a punchline, a viral meme that could overshadow everything he accomplished. Tyson's retirement isn't about bowing out gracefully. It's a convenient way to avoid the real risk of embarrassment. The legend is intact, for now. Mike Tyson may have made millions from exhibition fights, but this time the stakes were too high, and he knew it. Why risk everything for one last paycheck? Here's the kicker. Even though Tyson turned down the $700 million rematch with Jake Paul, he's still very much in the business of making money. So don't buy into the family first excuse. Tyson isn't stepping away from the limelight, he's just figured out how to keep the cash flowing without stepping into a ring where someone might actually land a punch. Now, Tyson's playing the long game. Instead of risking his legacy in the ring, he's focusing on brand deals, interviews, and public appearances. It's smarter than throwing punches. Why take hits for a few million when you can keep earning without risking your face? And let's be clear, Tyson's refusal isn't about his health. The man is in better shape than most people half his age. It's not that he's too old, it's that he's too proud. Tyson knows that after all this time, a loss to Jake Paul would be a devastating blow to his legacy. It wouldn't just tarnish his reputation, it would reduce him to a punchline, a legend overshadowed by a humiliating defeat. So instead of stepping into the ring and earning the payday of a lifetime, Tyson is taking the safer route. He's preserving his image as the ferocious fighter who never got knocked out by a YouTuber. The family-first narrative? It's just the cherry on top of a carefully crafted excuse, a smokescreen for a man who refuses to risk becoming the butt of a bad joke.